Yeah, there. How's that?
Yeah. Well,
always forget to click that share button. Yeah. All right. Can we see that nice Grevillea?
Spectacular.
Okay. So this is the one I always rave on about. And Jason Salmon has, I really appreciate this. He's sort of made me not to be a liar. This is the one I go on about that's at the Sutherland Council Nursery. It's absolutely spectacular. That's the most grandiose Grevillea buxifolia I've ever seen. Jason, do you know how long that's been planted for?
I'm thinking about 6 or 7 years.
Yes.
I think I would have planted it. I planted a few plants in that little spot.
Yeah.
Possibly collected from out at Menai, near the Menai Sports Complex.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, definitely from the Shire, but I'm thinking either Menai or possibly Rawson Avenue at Sutherland. But yeah, I was there today and I went, I've got to get this plant for Dan. So
there you go.
So
yeah, we all have our sort of favourite reference locations for where you can see, a good species. But for Grevillea buxifolia, this is mine. Yeah, when I went and got some tube stock off you one day, I noticed it. It's spectacular. And as promised, I put a bit of style to the slides. And I just gave it another shot there, and Jason sent a close-up as well. So yeah, it's got so many heads on it.
Jason, has that been regularly pruned?
Yeah, and because we do harvest off it for propagation as well. It hasn't really been like pruned hard because it's in full sun. It's got that sort of habit. So, but if you're growing them in like part shade or part sun, definitely worth a bit of pruning to keep them compact.
Yeah, the one I've planted on my road veg garden, it's growing no problems. It's doing really well and getting up to about 1 metre tall now. So I'm happy about that. Jason also sent in some, I had a bit of a joke here. This is, I think Jason's been getting interested in this, the different forms of Lomandra longifolia. It's something I've been taught about myself. There's a range of forms all over its range. But Jason, do you want to talk about these? You've got a coastal form, sensu Jason Salmon, and a bush form as well. Yeah.
It's just like ever since I've been doing like bush care with Sutherland Council for 19 years now. In the early days, all our plants were basically, they came from the council nursery, but they were either grown there or bought in. So we got a lot of Lomandra that was bought in from unknown provenance. And then we started planting out at bush care sites. And I'm always thinking like, this is just so different to what naturally occurs there. And then I was thinking like, what is different here? But I did find these coastal forms growing down at Cronulla, Mainbar, and I've seen them down at Marley and Era, and basically growing in sand dunes or in sand. So we've got a bit of a thing at bush care at Sutherland now where I've been actually removing the coastal form from planted council bushland reserves that are not basically in sand or at Cronulla and surround. So these two are actually at Kyogle Place next to Jan Taylor's house at Graves Point. And they've both been planted by me or by volunteers, but that's been collected from down at Savills Creek, Hovia Place, the bush form, and the coastal form is, I don't know where that's come from, but what is distinctly different with them is that one is flowering now, the coastal form, and the bush form is flowered a few weeks ago, several weeks ago, and has got fruit on it. So I kind of find it a bit weird that they're both Lomandra longifolia, but they both have such a different flowering time, and they've also got a different sort of, I guess they look different as well. They've got the coastal forms more glaucous, thicker leaves, and the bush form is like darker green, thinner leaves. So I was, I've got a bit of an interest in it because I kind of think they could almost be like a different species, and I don't know that much about botany to see how much differentiation you need to determine the difference.
Well, there's a study there for you. Yeah, as I think I said when you put it on Facebook, but look, in the Hunter Valley, you get these really narrow leaf forms of Lomandra longifolia, which are almost converging on Lomandra convertifolia. I had a lecture from Tony Rod on that one day, but yeah, Lomandras are very variable. They reckon the genus, well, some species in the genus need a bit of a resort. At the end of the day, mate, it's up to how the botanist interprets the data. I always think whether they're going to pull out new species or not, and I guess whether that's supported by other botanists. But yeah, you're quite right. Lomandra longifolia, it's really variable. Yeah, so that's great observation, Jason, I reckon.
Can I ask a question there? They're not hystrix, are they?
No, definitely not, because hystrix is pointed. The leaf of hystrix is pointed.
Right.
They're a north coast species, but I do find them growing on Savills Creek as I guess as a weed, and they are definitely a strappier. They're quite a showy plant, actually, soft sort of foliage compared to the longifolia.
Yeah. If you go to Gary Beach in the car park, there's some huge Lomandras there compared to the ones that are just nearby in the bush. Now, in the car park, they've been sown from, I suspect, council stock. So it's, I was wondering if they were hystrix and whether we ought to nuke them.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
If they're this sort of, the coastal form's got these yellow flowers on it, and I've seen that growing down at the Esplanade at Cronulla, down at Main Bar, and I'm pretty sure it was at Era Beach near the Midden. Is it North Era?
Right, yes.
Where the Midden is.
At the back of the Midden, because
at
they were
at the back of the Midden, yeah. So
they were planted there.
Right. Okay. So
they had some compounds there, and they were seeded with or planted with cabbage tree palms, but some didn't survive because it was too wet, Lomandra, and so on.
Yeah, right.
But we've also see the large ones in the centre of the roadway. So
yes,
Princess Highway at Kirrawee.
Yep.
Yeah, huge Lomandras there in the divider.
Yeah, so they could.
Sounds like another one we can all have a closer look at over the next few weeks as well.
Who would have thought Lomandra longifolia could generate such excitement?
Yeah, what else have we got tonight, Dan?
And he's just sorry. Okay,
time's up.
Moving on, a beautiful. We got a whole suite of things from Des and Mari. I don't think Des and Mari were here in the last meeting, so they're making up for it now. But a whole suite of photos. Homoranthus flavescens. So I've just been looking at this in its natural habitat out near Narrabri and Boggabri, where I was sort of on the eastern edge of the Pilliga scrub. This grows in full sand, basically, or really sandy, loamy soil there. It's a beautiful plant in the wild, but this is a spectacular specimen from Des and Mari. So that's Homoranthus. It's been popular in native gardens for a while. So it's myrtaceae. It's a myrtle. Quite spectacular. I think it's easy enough to grow if you just get the drainage right. But in the wild, it grows on almost, like heathland sand out there. It's quite interesting. They also sent in a Cordyline stricta. This is a species usually sort of found on the north coast in rainforest wet sclerophyll. I think I've seen them in the Royal before, but there's no records on PlantNet that they grow in the Royal, but I'm sure I've seen them in the Royal, in the rainforest, and maybe other members have as well. But these are easy to grow. They grow really quickly. They flower really quickly. I've put a few in my garden and they're doing really well. They're about 1 metre high after a year or two, but they haven't flowered yet. But that's a sort of spectacular, I guess, racemes or clusters of flowers you can get. They're quite nice. So it's narrow-leafed palm lily, that one, Cordyline stricta. Moving on in their garden a little bit. Look, I just got a photo with a heap of stuff, and I pulled out the actinitis, the funnel flower, the Scaevola underneath, the fan flower. It's probably one of the Scaevola aemula cultivars. And there's a kangaroo paw just there in the bottom too, but there's a whole heap of stuff there. A Grevillea cultivar as well. But Des and Murray have got a lot going on there, and it's really nice, especially with that Homoranthus.
It looks like Lomandra hystrix there too, Dan, in the top right.
That's what I thought. I thought it might have been Lomandra longifolia or hystrix, but yeah, it does look like that,
It's got the-
Jason. Yeah.
Yeah, pointy leaves.
Yeah.
Kangaroo.
No, it's a Grevillea. No, it's a kangaroo paw.
The kangaroo paw.
They're
Oh,
kangaroo
okay,
paws.
right. Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
back, right. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what Lomandra hystrix leaves kind of look like as well.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
No, and the one on the corner behind the flannel flowers, that's isopodon. That's a
Yes.
purpley, pink and purple isopodon.
Oh, nice one. Isopogon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
Okay.
that's the new.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
add that in as well. Which isopogon was that, Mari? Did you think?
It had a purpley sort of colour.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll try and figure that one
I
out.
think Formosa is one of the.
Us. Okay. Yep. Nice one. All right. Moving right along. Now, Mari, you sent me this in. I think it's Callistemon salignus. At first glance, I thought it was a swamp paperbark, Melaleuca quinquinervia, but moving in on the foliage, I think it's a big old Callistemon salignus. So I think I'm right about that. That's the only Callistemon I know that has paper bark.
Yes.
And they are planted around Sutherland Shire. I've got some on the football field over here, but it's got smaller leaves than quinquinervia, narrower leaves, and it's called the Willow Bottlebrush. But you said it was there when you moved in. Is that what you said? Or it's a big-
No, I planted it. It's one of the early ones I planted. We've been here
Ah.
44 years,
Yeah.
and it was one of the early things I planted.
Yep. Okay. Well, it's beautiful. Really nice. It's got nice and big. I've never seen one that big, I don't think, but
It's about 40 years old.
yeah. Yeah. Next time I see you, if you bring us in a bit, once we have face-to-face meetings again, I'll tell you
Yeah.
for sure. But it's
Yeah.
always a little bit hard from a photo. But the leaves, when I zoomed in, they were really short and narrow. Oh,
Yes.
much more narrow than quinquinervia. So
Well,
I
you
think,
could- yeah. The paperbark, the cordyline, which I got that from Peter Shelton a few years ago, that was right next to it, so that you could see the leaf and the bark down lower on. It's behind it to the left, so you could
okay.
you could probably zoom in on that. That's another way of looking at it.
I have a look, but you must get a ton of bees on that tree.
Yes, and it flowers for about 3 weeks. But
Yeah.
one warning thing is the Homoranthus, when it's flowering like that, if you touch it with your clothes, it stains. The yellow,
Oh,
we've a few pieces of clothing have been stained, like it's probably one of the natural dyes.
Okay.
So you want to be careful with it.
Oh, nice one. Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
tip. If you're on your way to a wedding or something, getting a photo taken before you leave. Yeah, my mum was big on that sort of thing. David, I got this as you told me, Davidson plum, Davidsonia Jerseyana, I think this one is. There's two Davidsonias and they grow in the same part of the world right in the northeast corner of New South Wales. They're both endangered as well, but I think this one is Jerseyana. I forget the name of the other one off the top of my head, but you can look them up. But Davidson plum, I've got one just growing out here in the garden, doing really well. I transplanted it too. Someone had dug it up from a garden and didn't want it. I forget where I was now, but they gave it to me. I brought it home and I planted it and it survived. So I was really happy about that. It took a while to get going, but it eventually got going. But this is popular for making jam. Apparently it makes really good jam. I've never tried the jam, but people say it makes some really good jam if you're into Davidson plum. The flowers are coming out of the trunk here. And that's a feature known as cauliflory, a bit like cauliflower, cauliflory, when the flowers come straight out of the trunk. So that's a beautiful feature. There's a few natives that do that, but that's a real nice feature of that plant. I thought this was aniseed myrtle, this next one you sent in, which is now called Anigozanthos anisata. It's been changed from Bacchausia anisata. but that's a New South Wales native on the north coast. Is that what you think that is?
Well, it does have an aniseedy
Yeah.
fragrance.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's all I can match it to. With those flowers, definitely myrtaceae, and then opposite leaves. If you've got aniseed smelling leaves,
Yes.
that's the best I can do on that one. But that's been in our plant table a few times.
Yes, I've brought it in a few times.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Members like that one. Aniseed myrtle. It's a northern New South Wales species in rainforest. Now this species is having a bumper season right now. I don't know if people have been noticing them. I've been noticing them in my street. They're having an absolute cracker of a season. And the last couple of years I've been going, why don't these things flower? They don't flower very well. I don't know why people plant them. Obviously we've had some rain, and I was being a bit unfair there given the weather in the last 2 years, but these are going off. Native frangipani, I've got one planted outside as well. It's not flowering anywhere nearly as nicely as this one, but they grow on the New South Wales coast and tablelands, more up north than down south, but they've got a wide range. They're a Bottosporum relative. They're in that Bottosparaceae family, but native frangipani, Hymenosperm flavum. The flowers smell more at night. So the excellent thing about this plant, if you come outside at night and stand next to it and there's a bit of a breeze blowing, or you might be on a balcony above one or something, they're absolutely beautiful. Really nice smelling flowers. The flowers sort of, do they go from dark yellow to cream or cream to dark yellow? It's
from cream to dark yellow.
Yeah, they're really nice. They're really popular in landscaping. I see them everywhere, parks, and there's some street trees down the road here which are just covered at the moment. They're really nice, easy plant to grow. They're really hardy. They grow really fast. They're a really good. Just watch it. They can get a bit big, but they're beautiful for if you're not going to worry about that. Really nice. You sent me in this one just quickly. You had in front of the Hymenosperm, you had a Ozothamus diosmifolius rice flower, and that hibiscus thing you mentioned, I'm sure it's that one Lloyd Hedges likes to propagate, that Guichenotia macrantha. That's from Western Australia, from the sort of far west of Western Australia, but that's Guichenotia. Lloyd Hedges sells those out of Menai. That's what I think that is.
Right.
If it's that hibiscus thing, I don't know if you got it from Lloyd, but
I can't remember where I got it, and I only got it. It's only been in about 2.5, 3 years. It's grown quite quickly.
Okay.
And then we've got a mint in front of it with little purple flowers, and so the colours and the fragrances are all scrumptious.
Nice one.
Yes.
Yeah, good. I was stumped on this one, and I had to throw it onto the New South Wales Facebook plant ID, but I got told quite reliably it's Elixir ruscifolia, and it's a plant called prickly elixir or chain fruit. I'm not sure why it's called chain fruit. It's a New South Wales rainforest native. You can find it north of Wollongong, so you might find it in the Royal somewhere, and it's really common up the north coast. So most of the range is sort of up there in the north coast rainforest, but that's Elixir ruscifolia. If you look that one up, the leaves have got really prominent venation and these orange sort of globular fruits, but your ones have dried out a bit.
If you look around a bit, I think you find that the fruit forms a chain. It
right.
It's quite weird.
Yes.
There's several of them at JB Reserve, but I don't know whether they've fruited up a real lot.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Yeah, I should have flicked the photo to you. I'd like to see that chain arrangement. That sounds quite interesting. Yeah, chain fruit, but it's not endangered or anything. It's common, and you can find it probably in the Illawarra rainforest or the Royal rainforest. I guess.
That was one of the original ones we put in down there. More than 15 years ago, and it's really been a slow grow, and it doesn't get many fruits. And whenever I brought it in, Phil couldn't remember what it was. I got it from Phil, but thank goodness, there's some fruit, so I could then take a photo. This is one of the advantages of doing this on the, Zooming. You can take photos in situ.
It's
Yeah.
got a very distinct leaf shape, hasn't it?
Yes,
It
it's
does.
quite prickly. It's quite
Point,
Yeah.
yeah, little pointy leaves. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
prickly, and the venation's really prominent as well. Yeah. All right, we're halfway through, people. Halfway through. Ozothamnus diosmifolius. This was Jill's. This is a pink form, like the pink rice flower. So this species, it's a local Sydney plant, though more in Western Sydney than Eastern or Southern Sydney. Normally on the heavier soils, like
So
on the
that's the
Cumberland
rice flower
Plain.
like ours.
It's a
Yeah, thick
daisy.
one.
It's an Asteraceae
Very small,
species.
yeah.
Real nice one, Jill. That's really nice. So I'm normally in the field, in the wild, they're white, but someone's found a pink form, obviously. It might be sold as a cultivar of some sort, but that's really nice. Easy to grow, that one. Now, Jill and I both don't know what leptospermum this is. Jill, the best name I've come up with is tickled pink. I don't know if Rhonda might know what this one is or anyone else. I sort of zoomed in on this one. It's a spectacular specimen, but the best I've come up with is leptospermum tickled pink. Anyone got any ideas on that?
Hard to see the colour of the foliage. It sort of looks dark, but then the new growth looks green.
Yeah. Maybe the photo and the shadow. But anyway, I'll try and do some more research on that one. But beautiful plant. Real stunner. Yeah, Jill and I both thought it was a leptospermum, just not sure which one. But let me know, anyone. Yeah, Jill's got this growing. I grew this one for a while too. Mine died after a couple of years, but this is Viminaria juntia golden spray. It's a pea, a legume. You can find it locally in the Royal and places. It adjoins sort of swamps or grows near swamps where the drainage isn't so good, wet heath and similar habitats. It's just a yellow flowering pea. Gets to about, I don't know, 3 meters tall, something like that. Sort of modified foliage. You sort of just get these linear sort of, cladodes, I guess, with the stems, and then you just get the flowers out there on the sort of terminals. But that's Viminaria juntia. I grew it for about 2 years. It got like that in Jill's photo, and then it died. So I don't know if it was a drainage or maybe it was too dry. I'm just not too sure. But it grew okay for a while. I'm not sure how long Jill's had that one growing. Is Jill there?
Yeah, it was only a few months ago. It's gone like crazy. I got it from the council nursery, and I bought 3 or 4 and just put them in amongst other things, and they've all been, they've been happy.
Yeah. Well, being a pea, they can grow pretty quick. Yeah, but like I said, in the wild, they're growing sort of with wet feet. So yeah, maybe keep the water up to it and see how you go. But that's really nice. It's got a really vivid yellow flowers. Really nice. There's a lot of wedding bush tonight. This is Jill's specimen. That is spectacular. Jill, what a stunner. Really nice. I remember last meeting you said you grow them. Yeah. How long you had that one in for?
Oh, quite a few years, maybe 10 years, I think.
That's really good. So that's what you can get out of a wedding bush if you try. I've never tried growing one myself. And then Ralph had a whole heap of photos that he took, which are really informative. You can see in the middle of the photo, that's the fruit starting to develop. That's a male flower. So we've got separate male and female flowers on the wedding bush. Ralph's captured a male flower here with the anthers there. I didn't see a female flower from you, Ralph. I did see the start of the fruit developing on that photo there. But, the female flowers will look similar to that, but they'll have a different structure there in the middle. That yellow structure, or that golden yellow structure will be different. No pollen, of course. It'll have like more of a receiving sort of part, but Ralph got some really good photos here of the fruit starting to develop. And that's where that Ricinocarpus sort of genus name comes from. But some really good shots there. We got some really good photos to finish off the session. I've only got about 10 slides left.
Looks like a coronavirus.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, that's, yeah, sort of an immature fruit just starting, but yeah, very nice, Ralph. Rhonda sent this in. Love to see the bottle brushes. Rhonda, I think this is Callistemon rigidus. I'm not definite on that, but it is common in Sydney bushlands. It's one of the more common bottle brushes. But I might not be totally right on that one, but that's would be my guess, especially in Menai and places like that. So it's a really nice photo, I think. And Rhonda's backed it up with if you see a bottle brush in Sydney with green flowers, it can really only be Callistemon pinifolius. It can have green or red flowers. I've seen them in Voyager Point off Heathcote Road, those sort of places, and this is in Menai, Rhonda said, and with those really linear, skinny leaves. But yeah, a nice green flowered bottle brush. I don't know if you can get red and green flowers on the same plants, but you do get some plants with red flowers and some plants with green flowers. So that's Callistemon pinifolius pine leaf bottle brush. That'd be a nice one to grow, especially for the flower colour.
There's a lot of it in flower, so it's quite a few plants at the bush care site at Menai. I've never seen it, that much of it anywhere.
Nice, yeah. If you get into that scribbly gum woodland at Voyager Point, there's a lot of bottle brush there. Yeah, they're funny bottle brushes, aren't they? We don't seem to see them in the wild that much, but they're certainly planted a lot. But there are places in New South Wales you can come across a heap of bottle brush. This photo from Joan Collins, I reckon, deserves a medal.
Yeah, it's a beauty, Joan.
It's a stunner, isn't it? This rocked me for a couple of seconds.
Thank you.
Yeah, what a cracker. That's a really good photo. I stared at that for like a minute, I think.
From an amateur.
It's great. Really good. So that's one of the best photos of Lambertia I think I've seen. That's from Joan. There's the overall plant. So Joan's got that growing really well. Plenty of inflorescences. Nice and prickly. Do the birds get into that, Joan? Oh, you're on mute, Joan.
How's that? Is
Yeah,
that
good,
right?
good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've had wattlebirds come back into the garden. We haven't had them for years. And I think it's because we've got rid of a lot of privet down on my creek.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, whether that's right or not, but the wattlebirds just love it.
Nice one. Yeah, good. That's such an awesome photo.
And I've got another bush lower down, and it's a pale, pinky, doesn't do anything, and hardly any flowers. This one right up the back, it's beautiful this year.
Yeah, nice, really nice. And Joan also sent in Kunzia, good old Kunzia ambigua tick bush. Easy to grow this one if you want to give it a go. Really common in New South Wales on the coast and tablelands, in coastal shrubland sometimes, and it really likes shale sandstone transition forest, the old Kunzia.
That was in our yard when we moved in, not that particular one, but it died out many years ago, and I'd always been saying that I would get one.
Yeah.
And so that one's about 3 or 4 years old now.
Nice. Yeah. This photo you've got, it really reminds me of where I planted one at my mum's place. I planted one just like this with a big tree behind it, a big Eucalyptus microcories, and her one looks exactly like this too. It's about 2 meters tall or more. I've planted it about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and it flowers like this every year, every October. So they've got a really strong honey smell when you walk past them or brush past them. Yeah, the bees like them.
And that's an Angophora costata at the back.
Yeah, Angophora costata, yeah. That's what I love about Myrtaceae. They're in for the long haul. They tend to live a long time. And if you can just wait a few years, you'll get these spectacular flowering episodes. Kunzia is nice and hardy, easy to grow. If it was in your yard from the beginning, I'd say it was part of the original vegetation. More than likely.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, it's a beautiful plant. You can prune them and keep them down a bit. Nice soft foliage. Now, Joan Zandy is going to finish off. Oh, and Ralph is going to show Joan's garden, which we didn't see at the last meeting. Remember, we've just got Joan's garden to have a look at. But you're going to love this. Joan has sent in 3 photos of 3 different flannel flowers. So that's a really nice one there. And I think Joan was saying to me on the email, they might be slightly different forms. This one's a bit more compact and smaller on a sandstone ledge there. And then this is where Joan's just showing off now. Check out this one. That rocks me in my chucks as well. I mean, there's about 200 heads on that, I reckon. Joan, that's amazing. I don't know if you're there, but that is absolutely stunning. I don't know what more to say about that. That's one of the best garden flannel flowers I think I've seen. So yeah, that's your lot from me. Some absolute cracker photos there, people. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed them.
Well, thanks very much, Dan, and thanks to everyone who sent in photos. We are getting to see plants from a different perspective when we see them on Zoom like this. And Ralph, are you going to just show Joan's video? How long is that? Ralph, you might need to unmute yourself.
Joan's not here, I don't think.
So that's the female flower. I thought I'd sent it to you, Dan, but obviously not. But that's what I should have sent.
Yeah, there was one photo I couldn't open, Ralph. I don't know if it was this one. Yeah, okay. I just couldn't open it. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just go to...
So for those of you that don't know where Joan's garden is, it's actually right next to Joseph Banks Reserve down on Bates Drive. So she's got a big sandstone cliff in the backyard. I guess this would have been taken a month ago before our September meeting. So kangaroo paws. So even with a sandstone cliff in the backyard, she still seems to get a lot of sun. No, that's where the funnel flowers are. Okay, thanks, Ralph. Now, I have been to Joan's garden. It looks fantastic, and I don't think that video really does it justice with not being able to see it sharply, but it does convey part of the beauty of the garden.
It just seems she's really accepted the habitat and absolutely got the maximum out of it, doesn't it? That's what comes across to me in that garden. She's just accepted the constraints and turns it into something really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all been very well
Yeah,
landscaped.
agreed, Dan.
Okay, well, thanks, Ralph, for holding that one over from last month. So just to finish off our meeting tonight, I am conscious it's 9 o'clock. So just a few announcements. We do have the APS New South Wales quarterly meeting on Saturday, the 14th of November. That's by Zoom. And the details will be in the e-newsletter that comes out at the end of next week. We've got Leonie's gathering, and at our committee meeting, we also decided to have our end of year gathering at Joseph Banks Reserve. The date's in the newsletter, and we'll just wait and see how the COVID restrictions go. But I think they've already been lifted to 30, so that pretty much lets us have a normal gathering there. Ralph, did you want to say anything about raffle tickets from the newsletter? Details in the newsletter?
Yes, I'm going to take a bunch of books down to Leonie.
Oh, on Monday morning, great.
Be able to have for Monday morning, so you can either buy them from Leonie, which will make her figures look really good, or you can just take a book and take them home and try and sell them to people.
Great. Okay, so details in the newsletter. Any other announcements from anyone else tonight? John, did you want to remind anyone about Charlotte Pass? Or that does seem to be very well booked at this stage. Might need to unmute. Yep.
Yeah, I've not heard back from the off group, the Oatley Flora and Fauna. They were looking for spare places. Their organisers aren't going this year, so there's a few people who don't want to organise themselves. The week before we're going as free, so if they get more than 6, or if they want more than 5 rooms, I suggested to them that they book the week before. Now, we would like to have the lodge to ourselves, but the policy of the people who run the lodge is that they want to fill it up naturally because they've had a really bad year this year, mainly because there were a lot of Victorians who were booked for the winter season and they all had to cancel out. So they've had a very low income to run the lodge, and they're feeling it a bit.
It's also a terrible ski season.
Yes, yeah. So we've got 3 of us, myself, Gwen and Barbara are going. Ian hasn't booked yet. Not sure what he's doing. Is he smiling there? So yeah, Heather is going, yeah. And yeah, so we've got probably half and half from Sutherland and Menai. Should be good. The weather's going to be perfect.
Great. So again, just check the details in the newsletter if you haven't booked in for that and want to check the dates. Just to finish off, does anyone have any other announcements? Simon's been typing lots of comments in the chat box, so do check those. Does anyone else have any other comments?
Des and I celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary last week, so we think that's very exciting.
Hey, well, you've got a fantastic garden to celebrate it in. It must be lovely to be in that environment and just enjoy all those lovely flowers. So
we do, Rhonda. Yes, thank you.
Murray does all the work and I enjoy it.
Well, I know from my years of being a member of APS, being a gardener keeps you healthy and long-lived. So I think that's part of your secret, Des and Murray there, gardening together.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me just say that, because I'm quite chuffed about being married.
Yeah, a few congratulations there in the chat box.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank
so
you.
if there are no further comments or issues, I might draw the meeting to a close and just remind everyone that we do have our final Zoom meeting of the year. Will be Wednesday, the 18th of November, and we will be having our very brief AGM beforehand. And I will send out the agenda and the minutes from the last meeting as part of the newsletter when Peter sends out the newsletter. So we'll just have that quick AGM. And our last meeting for the year will be by Zoom. And we do hope that we can have or return to our normal meetings at Guyme Hall next year, starting in February. That's our intention as a committee at the moment. So thanks very much, everyone, and keep gardening. And look forward to 50 years. Yeah, congratulations, Des and Murray. Good night, everyone.